Now, the Home Office plans to send the first group of asylum seekers to a military site in East Sussex within just weeks.
Yes, the plans come despite angry protests from local residents and threats of legal action from the council and a community group.
Well, joining us now is from Crowborough is the chair and director of the Crowborough Shield Community Interest Company, Kim Bailey. Kim, thanks indeed for joining us. Clearly, local residents are very, very concerned about what's going to be happening with huge numbers of migrants moving to your area. I suppose the government would say, well, they've got to go somewhere.
Yeah, so they've got to go somewhere, but Crowborough is really not a suitable option. So you've probably heard previously, it's an army training camp. It's not an army barracks or a disused centre. This was the home to thousands of cadets that have now been evicted. Obviously, we've got a delay recently from the Home Office, and that's as a result of the legal action that we're taking. So they've already evicted them. They could have essentially stayed in there till Christmas. But Crowborough as a whole, this site is just unsuitable in every way you can possibly think of. And I actually spoke to the Ministry of Defence at Parliament and Alex Norris. So I asked them, why Crowborough? And it was about speed and mobilisation, because they have got loads, thousands of disused sites that they could have used that wouldn't impact on communities. But it was all about speed over safety.
So when you say it's inappropriate in every way, what exactly do you mean? Do you mean that it's close to the main town, close to facilities, close to schools? What about it is so inappropriate?
So first of all, it is just on the edge of a forest. So one of the things that moving the asylum seekers out of hotels and into these barracks is supposed to help prevent the crime. So things like the illegal working. One thing that the Alex Norris had said was that it's much more difficult to hide things like mopeds, which obviously they're using on the black market. And I said, you do realise there are thousands of acres. You could hide a jumbo jet. So I don't think a moped is going to be a problem. So first of all, that doesn't solve their problem. It's on the edge of a town. There are schools. It's a forest town. So you've got completely unlit trees, tree-lined kind of twittens and pathways. Any crime that does happen is going to go unheard and unstopped. But on top of that, you've got this army training facility, which is home to the cadets. So they've obviously been evicted. But there's also lots of unexploded World War I and World War II grenades and bombs. It's absolutely full of ordnance, although the Home Office and the MOD are now saying it's not, despite the surveys being done. Also around that site, you've got shooting ranges. You've got the Police Firearms Training Academy. You've also got a public shooting range. So essentially what you're doing is you're putting asylum seekers into a 360 simulated war zone. So if you want to trigger mental health and PTSD from people coming from those awful backgrounds, this is the place to put them. So it makes the whole thing is entirely unsuitable. It's a town that doesn't have very much to do, so there's not going to be much for the asylum seekers. If they want to escape this environment, they're going to come into the town. There's nothing for them to do. There's a couple of schools and a couple of churches, a few charity shops. That's literally it.
Hello, I'm Bev Turner. Now, it can feel like the money in our bank accounts at the moment does not keep up with the cost of living, and maybe there's a solution. I'm here today with the CEO of TallyMoney, Cameron Parry. Cameron, what is TallyMoney?
Well, Bev, with TallyMoney, you get a current account and a debit card, but instead of pounds, you use milligrams of gold as your everyday money.
So why gold?
Gold traditionally is a great store of value. It has, on average, gone up at over 11% per annum for the last 25 years against the pound. It's tripled in value in the last decade. And in the last 2 years alone, it's increased by 50% against the pound. Banks' savings products just can't compete with that level of growth.
But this isn't just about gold. This is about a currency that you guys have created at TallyMoney. Explain it to me as though I'm an idiot.
So, look, people need to be able to hold their earnings and build their savings in a money that retains its value and remains in their legal control and remains theirs to access, away from government control.
Great. You had me at not exposed to government control.
You should feel safe and happy with your money. You should have peace of mind. The more money you see in your bank balance, and that's the type of thing we're trying to deliver, and give people choice in the type of money they get to use every day.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Cameron. Thank you.
Kim, you make a compelling case. I just have to say, from where I'm sitting, I've spoken to, it must be dozens of people from dozens of parts of the country. I mean, whether it's former RAF bases, whether it's Bibby Stockholm barges, I mean, wherever we talk to people where the government is suggesting asylum seekers go, obviously, very eloquent people come forward and put forward incredibly compelling cases that these people should not be near them. I mean, I want to agree with every word you're saying because it is compelling. But then again, every single interview I do like this, I feel exactly the same way. And I wonder at what point does the government sort of stop trying to play whack-a-mole with all of these different areas? I mean, nowhere in the country wants hundreds of young men moving into whether it's a former military base or a hotel or a boat or whatever it is near them.
Yeah, and I completely understand that. I mean, you've got the additional point here as well, is that Ashdown Forest is it's got a massive exclusion zone, so you can't build. And the main reason that people's planning applications are refused is because the impact on recreational activity in the forest cannot be mitigated against. So lots of people, they want to put a shed up or a small extension or something. They can't get it. You've also got protected species there. So the Dartford warbler and the nightjars, they nest in the ground and they are protected, obviously, internationally. Now, having an extra, well, you're talking around 2,000 people, 2,000 extra people going through the forest. There's only a few sites in the world that protect these species, and there is a chance that they could go extinct. And are we prepared to be the cause of that?
Well,
so
thank you.
There's lots and lots of reasons.
Thank you very much, Kim Bailey. As you say, Tom, that a very compelling argument not to house those thousands of migrants in Crowborough, but compelling arguments all over the place.
Yeah, this is the trouble. I mean, obviously, the solution would be
don't have thousands of illegal migrants coming to the UK.
Yeah, don't choose to expensively, on the back of the taxpayers' pound, put these illegal migrants anywhere. I mean,
just a thought for you there.
When they arrive, detain them and then deport them. I mean, that would prevent all of these different problems. But I mean, there are over 100,000 of these people here in the country anyway. So, gosh.
Whack-a-mole, I think that's a very good way of putting it. Well, a Home Office spokesperson said, "We are furious at the level of illegal migrants in asylum hotels. This government will close every asylum hotel. Work is well underway, with more suitable sites being brought forward to ease pressure on communities and cut asylum costs. We are working closely with local authorities, property partners and cross-government so that we can accelerate delivery." What does the Prime Minister have to say about this really quite controversial appointment?
That's right. Well, the PM spokesman talked to us about the Equalities and Human Rights Commission chief, the remarks from Mary Ann Stevenson. We asked, are people demonising migrants, as she says today? And number 10 says there's a balance to be struck. He adds the UK has a long and proud history of welcoming migrants here, but equally we must restore order to a system that's clearly broken, littered with rising costs, genuine refugees stuck in limbo. But these remarks by this Equalities chief are designed to start a debate. I was intrigued how they were made to a media group called Press Association. That means they've gone as far and wide as they possibly could, because clearly what's happening here for me is that the Labour government is trying to start a debate about the issue of being part of the European Convention on Human Rights. It's blamed by those on the right for not allowing us to send back migrants to where they came from because of Article 3, right to a family life. Clearly, the government thinks here's a debate to be had. Until this point, we normally had it wasn't really a contested space, membership of this Convention on Human Rights, but it will be at the next election, with both Reform UK and the Tories wanting to leave it. And clearly, the government, in whatever form, thinks it's good to have a debate about this. And that's why you've got Nigel Farage today saying this. He believes that you should be able to deport terrorists, rapists and serious foreign criminals, and most people agree with me. Chris Philp, the Shadow Home Secretary, he says it's wrong this group, this individual is dismissing legitimate concerns about mass migration and crimes committed by foreign nationals. Clearly, this is the beginning of a big debate, I think, in 2026.